Hey everybody, yes, I have volume. Happy Tutorial Thursday. My camera position is like right in front of, Allison, you can actually move the computer window over. Yep, it's Thursday. I'm on my first cup of caffeine and it is Tutorial Thursday. That means it's lunchtime tutorial time. Hope everyone is having a great day wherever you are today. It is definitely summer. For real, it is August here in Texas. It is hot as hell. It is sunny as all get out. It's one of those like don't go outside for more than 15 minutes or you're gonna turn into a lobster kind of day. So I'm really happy to be inside crafting with you all instead of out there. Today we are doing this. This is our double zigzag bracelet. This may be familiar to some of you who've been watching the Beading Dream stream for a while as a variation on our back and forth bracelet. Hi Lori! I'm assuming the weather's much more pleasant where you are than it is where I am right now. But yeah, so this is a variation of our back and forth bracelet, which we've done on stream at least once, possibly twice, as just a single bracelet. The main difference for this one is that I've added in a double-ended component because we got these cool components in that have, oh my god, it's 50 degrees where Lori is. And all of my Texas viewers are now officially jealous. We got in these cool double-ended components with these chunks of citrine and amethyst, and I really wanted to do something fun and interesting with them, so I decided to adapt that back and forth bracelet to a double-ended component. So let's talk tools and supplies. You're going to need a double-ended component. Now, if you don't have something like this that's a pre-made double-ended component, you can absolutely fake this by just wire wrapping a bead, just doing a double-ended wire link with a bead in the middle, and it'll function exactly the same. So you need some kind of component for the center of your bracelet. You're going to need beads, and I like this one a little bit more petite than the back and forth, so I'm using some 6mm amethyst today. Anything 4, 5, or 6mm will work. The main limiting factor for this, as it always is with projects like this, is it's got to fit on your macrame cord. So you just need to make sure you got a hole that your macrame cord, or that will accommodate your macrame cord. Also, you should make sure to put something underneath your macrame board to level it out. What do I have in my drawers of tricks that I can use for that? I think that's about the right height. Okay, not perfect, but better. And then you are, of course, going to need macrame cord. So I like this stuff. This is the synthetic macrame cord. Oh dear. I picked a brand new spool of cord and I don't know where the end is. I mean, it has to have one, right? It has to have one. You've got to be in there somewhere, and I swear. I feel like this is a lack of caffeine problem that I'm having right here. But seriously, why don't they do like they do with thread spools? Alright, I'm gonna do it. Y'all, don't tell my staff that I just did this. This is totally like chaotic evil right here as far as cord goes. I made an end. I made 2 ends. Don't tell Heather. So macrame cord. So what this is it's just a braided synthetic cord, and this is a 0.8mm size, which is a nice size for a project like this. It's not too chunky, but it's not too tiny either. And that's all you need as far as supplies: beads, cord, and a component. As far as tools go, a macrame board, this thing right here, is going to help you. They're nice because they give you little clippies where you can clip your cord in and it'll hold your cord for you. You've got inches where you can measure, and I like the mini ones because they travel really easily. You're going to need some kind of a cutting device, preferably a sharp one, and you're going to need a lighter for your finishing. This is another reason that I like the macrame cord, is it's easy to finish using fire. You don't have to mess with glue. And then a bead stopper, which is this little guy, will be helpful. It's not completely necessary, but I will show you how it will make your life easier. So you're going to need about 12 feet or so of your macrame cord, and you're going to need to cut that in several different sections. So, Mark, come here. ahead and write those down for you. You're gonna need 2 feet, 1 foot, and then just take whatever's left and divide it in half. So 2 2-foot sections, and those are going to be the cores of the sides of your bracelet. 1 1-foot section, that's going to be the clasp, and then whatever's left, just cut it in half. Macrame is one of those things where it's always better to have too much cord than not enough. This is not a project where you can easily add on cord. The good news is it's done in 2 sections, so if you find you didn't have enough cord and you have to I'm making you do math, Lori, because I'm still on my first cup of caffeine and I can't do math yet. No, okay, so let's see, that's 4, 5, so 5 from 12 is 6, correct? No. 7 feet. I know, it's even earlier for you. All right, so 7 feet, so that's gonna be 3.5 feet on each. 2, 3.5. And the same. Everything's on the floor. And see, this is why you don't do what I did with the ends, because you wind up with, oh hey, okay, the universe worked in my favor on that one, because I found the original end. It was there. Success. Oh goodness, I keep trying to cut down my caffeine intake, and I get cut down, and then crap happens and I have to ramp back up. And I don't mean have to, like, it's not like somebody's holding a gun to my head, but circumstances in my life become easier to deal with caffeine in the system. Okay, so now that I've got that cut, I'm also gonna just grab, I think I might need a scrap of cord. So this scrap of cord that I just cut has nothing to do with my bracelet at all. It doesn't have to match. It doesn't even have to be the same kind of cord. It is not included in this measurement, okay? Literally just a rando piece of whatever you happen to have lying around. So I'm gonna start by setting this up on my macrame board. So I'm gonna take my double-ended component and one of my 2-foot long pieces. Okay, so this is one of my 24-inch pieces, and I'm just going to insert that through my double-ended component. I'm going to even it up like so. So I have a doubled piece of cord, and then I'm going to take my scrap of cord, and I'm also going to insert that through here. And the reason for this is I want to clip this into this little notch right here, but I can't. If I do that with my double-ended component, I'm going to wind up with this big kind of gap here, which is not an insurmountable obstacle because you can slide your knot work up, but it's just easier if you don't have to. So this little trick with your scrap of cord is going to help you on that. So just take your scrap of cord, stick it through there, and then clip that into the top notch of your macrame board. Now, the reason I'm using this 5 over here on the side instead of the middle is you can even see on the camera how stretched out that middle notch is, because that's the one that everybody goes for. So over time, it's going to wear out. It's not going to hold your cord as securely. I mean, we're dealing with, you know, a $12 product here. It's not going to last forever. But you can, I mean, you can flip it upside down. You could use the side ones. Like, there's you know, lots of ways to continue to get use out of your macrame board after it's, you know, the middle of it is kind of giving up the ghost. Then I'm going to take the other ends of my cords and I'm going to clip them into this 5 down here. Okay, so now what I have is I have taut cords. Okay, when you're doing macrame, tension is really important, and having a taut core cord makes the whole process a lot easier. Now I'm going to take one of my 3.5-foot long cords. Hi Amy, have a safe drive to Houston. Going to center those up, slide them all the way up, and so just to be clear, these cords here, the long ones, are the ones around which I'm knotting. This one is just a scrap, okay? This one has no use at all except for what it's doing right here. which is holding this in the top of your macrame board. Now, I'm going to go ahead and start doing a square knot. So, to do a square knot, the easy to instruct way, the slow way, is I'm going to start with the cord that's on the right hand side of my core, and I'm going to turn that into a triangle or a backwards figure 4. Then I'm going to take the cord that's on the left hand side of my cords. I'm going to drop it over the end of that 4, and I'm going to take the end of that cord and I'm going to put it underneath everything and up into my initial triangle. I'm going to grab it, I'm going to pull it through, I'm going to pull evenly on both sides. As I do that, I'm going to slide that up into position right next to that component and then pull it tight. Now I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm going to use the cord that's on the left hand side to start. So I'm going to make another triangle. This is a not backwards figure 4. Then the cord on the right is going to go over the end of that triangle, and then the end goes underneath everything and up into that triangle. Again, pull nice and tight. Alright, so I'm going to do about 4 or 5 of these. This is going to be the starter of my bracelet. So triangle, over, under, that's 3, triangle on the left, over, and then under everything, that's 4, and if you're doing this and you get distracted by whatever, all those many things that may distract us, you know, including comments on the Beading Dreams stream, and can't remember what side you're supposed to be on, this here is your little indicator, okay? See how that little bump alternates sides? Whatever side that bump is on, that's the side you need to do next. So I'm going to do my 5th one, and it's going to start on the right-hand side. This is an invaluable trick. Alright, so now I have done my starter, and I'm just going to clip these 2 cords out of the way, and I'm going to unclip my 2 core cords from the bottom. And now I'm going to string my beads onto them. And I dropped my sample on the floor, so let me grab that. Oh. So I can count how many beads I need. 2, 4, 6, 12, 14, 16. Alright, my beads that I'm using today are a little bit fatter. These are 6mm rondelles, which means they're 6mm wide, but they're not. They're only 4mm tall. I'm using 6mm rounds. So this one's got, I believe, 20. Is that what I just counted? 2, 4, 6, 8, 14, 16. Yeah, this one has 20 beads on each side. I think I'm going to go ahead and do 16. So that's going to be 8 beads on each of these core cords, okay, because this bracelet is made, half of the beads are on one cord, half of the beads are on the other cord. Little trick, help you get your beads onto your cord. You can take your lighter and just melt the end of your cord and then pinch it and twist it, and you'll make a little needle bit. Of course, don't pinch it too soon or you're going to get melted polycord on you, which is not fun. There we go. Okay, so now 8 beads onto each cord. And one of the cool things about a macrame project like this is it is adjustable with the closure. So if you're short on beads, if you've got like a portion of a strand or a shorty strand that you're trying to use up, you don't have to actually have beads all the way around your wrist. You can take up the rest with just the cord. Okay, so I'm stringing on, oh dear, do you not fit? They don't fit. Oops. I have to go get some different beads. Be right back. Okay, well, let's see if these fit. That was not the part of the project that I was expecting to be problematic. I mean, I wasn't really expecting any part of the project to be problematic, but usually stones from this particular vendor will fit on macrame cord without any issues at all. So let's see. Haha, success. Okay, so we're back to, I'm going to stick with 8 on each cord. Maybe. Yes, well, hopefully all the beads do also fit on the macrame board. I mean, that goes without saying. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it is Tutorial Thursday on the Beading Dream stream. That means that for all of you who want to see more fire than just a cigarette lighter, tonight is Torch Thursday. We will be back tonight at 6 p.m. Central Time with these. These are our pattern wire hoops. So we're actually going to set a stone and make a custom post finding, and then we're going to make a hoop to go within it out of pattern wire. So that should be a really fun project, and it's, I'm pretty sure, either one of or the first post earring that we've done on the Beading Dream stream. 3, 6, 7. And I don't wear a lot of post earrings. I'm more of a hook earring kind of person, but sometimes it's nice. It's nice to know how to make them, and it's nice to know how to add that extra little accent of being able to make a post with a stone in it. Alright, so I've got my 16 beads strung, 8 on each. Slide them up, zoop, like that. Okay, and then I'm going to, once again, take my 2 cords and I'm going to bring them down and I'm going to clip them back in this notch. And this is where my bead stopper comes in. So I want to set them like this so that they're offset, and then I'm going to take my bead stopper and I'm just going to clip it down here on my bottom 2 cords, and that is going to keep them nice and close together. Now I'm going to pick one of these to start with. It doesn't matter which one. I'm going to grab the one on the right because I'm right-handed, and that tends to be my default. You really want to make sure that these are clipped up nice and close together. If you don't have a bead stopper, a hemostat would also work well for this. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this cord, I'm going to pass it underneath both of these strings, and then I'm going to come up above this bead and below this bead, and that's going to start that kind of diagonal look that I'm going for the sides of this bracelet. So I pass that underneath, and then I'm going to bring it under that bead and above that bead. And you can see above it's kind of skipping over it. Now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to cross underneath everything, and I'm going to cross under this bead and above this bead, or below this bead, however you want to think about it. But I'm going on a diagonal, so it's always going to bump one down on each side from where I was previously. And so this is a technique that I actually first saw on a David Yurman bracelet, and I spent literal years trying to figure this technique out and making it way more complicated than it needed to be. So I'm just going to bring that in, and then I'm just going to grab it and pull it so that it kind of pops in between the beads. This is one of those that it's really going to look better if you use maximum tension. I've had people do this in class where they didn't pull it quite tight enough. It winds up looking kind of sloppy. But yeah, so I've got some around, so I'm just going to pull like so. If you need to release your bead stopper to give your beads a little bit more room, you can, because you'll notice they are getting spread out by the cord. But yeah, so I first saw this on a David Yurman men's bracelet and spent years and years trying to figure it out. And yeah, my problem there was I was making it way too complicated. I was trying to do all kinds of weaving and knotting, and literally you're just spiraling around the beads, like so. So I'm just going to continue that until I run out of beads around which to spiral. So we should just be getting at this point something that looks like that. Alright, and when I run out of beads, I'm going to go above this one. And then I'm just going to take this out, and I'm going to anchor it out on the side of my macrame board. Okay, so I want to try and kind of keep this in the center, so just pull everything, and there we go. Now I'm going to do the same thing with this cord, but I'm going to spiral the opposite direction, and I'm going to start by coming up here and down here, and this is going to start making that V look. So I'm just going to go underneath and below this one, above this one, and that's your V. And then, like we did before, try and get my hands out of the way so y'all can see what I'm doing. Pull, 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 and then again give it a good solid yank so that it pops in between the beads. And then we're going to continue. So we're going to go here, pull, and I will say that I actually, when I made the prototype for this class, I was too lazy to get up and get a macrame board. It's so much easier. Like, it can be done without a macrame board, but it's so much easier to do it with. Okay, so that, not correct. Okay, we're not going for X's, we're going for V's. So it's this one. I mean, it wouldn't be a beading dream stream if I didn't smack my camera at least twice. Pink. Are you talking about the X that I just made, Lori? No, I don't think I did. Oh, I did. Lori's right. I missed one. I skipped this one. I will fix that off camera because I can fix it faster if I'm not trying to show y'all. The other cool thing about this is it's very simple. You know, all I'm going to do is unwrap it, go back up, and then just go back down. So it's definitely a lot easier to fix than a lot of other macrame projects. This is what happens when you're trying to watch the project and the camera. Okay, and just that fast, we're back. Alright, so now I'm all the way down to the bottom like so. Goodness, why, camera, are you all of a sudden so much brighter than you were just a minute ago? I have not changed anything with my lighting. Auto exposure is mystifying sometimes in the way that it functions. Okay, so the end tends to be a little bit tricky. Oh, hey, look, my phone is exactly the perfect height to even out my macrame board. So what needs to happen at the end is I need to replicate this beginning starter with my macrame. So I need everything to be taut. And what's going to happen is you're going to have some kind of messiness that's going to go on at the bottom of this. And it's just gonna be messy. Once you get your first knot done, the messiness will fix itself. So I'm just going to make a square knot. So I'm going to start with my right hand cord, and then my left hand cord is going to go over, under, up into that triangle, and just pull it tight around the last one, like so. and then we're going to go left, square knot. And once you get the first full square knot done, your first right and left, it's going to be much easier, because now everything is going to be stable and everything is going to be fine. You can get rid of your bead stopper. We started with 5, we're going to end with 5, so that means I need to do another right, left, right. Left, right. And that's it for that side. So I'm going to take this off of my macrame board. Throw my phone apparently. Get back here. And now I can finish my 2 cords with which I was knotting. Okay, so now that you're at the end here, there are 4 cords that you have to deal with. Alright, you've got 2 that are coming out perpendicular from your knot, kind of east and west, and then you've got 2 that are coming out parallel from your knot at north or south, depending on how you're holding this. This is your cord. These 2 parallel cords are the core of your bracelet. They are important. Do not cut them off. These are the cords we're going to cut off. I'm going to cut them off nice and short. So I'm just going to snip them to really, seriously, it's like a 16th. Hi, Sophia. 16th of an inch. How's everything in Wisconsin? How's your weather? Lori's got 50 degrees and we're all jealous. And then I'm going to finish this by just taking my lighter. I want to make sure everything that I don't want to melt is out of the way. Just melt that and then tap it down, and that'll seal off the end of your knot nice and securely. And it's a little bit neater than glue. Of course, you have to make sure that you don't burn through the cord that you need to save, so once again, make sure you get that out of the way. And that is one side of our bracelet. So now we repeat on the second side of our bracelet. So I'm going to use my same scrap of cord to clip this into my macrame board, because there's really no reason for me not to. This can just hang out to the side. If I want it not to flop around, I can actually take these 2 core cords, and I can clip them into my macrame board as well. And then I'm going to find my other long piece of cord, wherever the heck I put it, and I'm going to grab that, and I'm going to grab my 2-foot piece of cord. So as far as the cords that you cut for this project, you should currently have still unused a 1-foot piece, a 2-foot piece, and a 3.5-foot piece. Okay, so I'm going to start with the 2-foot piece. The 1-foot piece gets put aside because that's actually going to be for the closure. And I'm just going to put that through here. Clip it in to the bottom so I have a nice taut cord. And take that 3.5-foot piece, put it underneath, even it up. And then I'm going to make 5 square knots. I'm going to do one more the slow way, and then I'll show you how I do it. So the slow way, the explainy way, is make a triangle with the cord that's on the right hand side of center, with the cord that's on the left hand side of center. Drop it over the end of that triangle, and then take the end of the cord up into that triangle, slide it up, all the way up, pull evenly on both to tighten. Now, that takes a lot of time, so obviously as you get better at this, what most people do is you'll take a cord in each hand, and you'll do that same process, but it's more like over, under, and pull, and then switch sides. Over, under, pull, over, under, pull, 1, 2, 3, 4, one more is 5, over, under, pull. So I did, 4 square knots there in the time it would normally, have taken me to explain how to do 1. So it's just a little bit faster once you get to know the pattern. Now I'm going to just clip these guys off for a minute, and I'm going to string on my beads. Again, 8 beads are going onto each of these 2 end cords. These are the ends of these cords here. So, alright, 16 beads. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this has used up for me not even one entire 8-inch strand of these apatite beads. I still have this many beads left over from my 8-inch strand. So again, it's a nice project for if you are trying to use up some leftovers, if you're trying to stash bust. Also, there's absolutely no reason you couldn't use different kinds of beads for this project. You do want to try and make sure that they are all the same shape, because, and if you're doing, you know, I've never done this, that's a good idea. I've never done this with size graduated beads. I feel like that would be a fun variation. If anybody tries it, let me know and post it in Discord. I feel like you could do it with size graduated beads. You just need to, you know, pay more attention to your positioning to have the graduation, you know, being opposite each other. 3, 6, oh, is that all? 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. Hey, look, I can count to 8, everybody. For a Thursday morning, that's rather an achievement. Also, please, nobody feel obligated to remind me that it is in fact Thursday afternoon. Right? Well, so far nobody has, so. Possibly if I hadn't mentioned it, then nobody would have noticed. Alright, so that's 8 on each. And we're going to slide these up. Zoop. Put that in. Grab the bead stopper. And start the wrapping. And I honestly, legitimately don't think it matters really which cord you start wrapping with. I've never really consistently settled on one, and it doesn't seem to make much of a difference. There. Just make sure you get started on that that correct diagonal, and then you're good to go. The first one's the only one that's really confusing, because you've got that one at the top that's got nothing. And again, do make sure your bead stopper is nice and close up, because that makes a huge difference as well. Don't forget to pull it tight so that it drops in between the beads, like so. Pull. So yes, we have super hot, super sunshiny weather here in Dallas. We have definitely reached the dog days of summer, which, to be fair, we've reached later than normal, which is disturbing in its own way. Like, we haven't had nearly as many 100-degree days so far this summer as would be typical, for which I am grateful, but also frightened about the implications thereof. Alright, so spiraled all the way down. Now we're going to just anchor that one off. And take this other one, and we're going to do the same thing, but in the opposite direction, so they start to make those little V's. And the best way for when you're going to pull them, the best way to do it is to pass it back under and then yank it. That's your best way to get your good tight spiral there. I'm going to try not to miss any this time. If I did miss any, Lori, just don't tell me. Alright. So now that I've got my spiral is complete, Now it's time to do my finishing, so I gotta release this one from where I clipped it off. Now, one of these needs to be, they can't both be going to the same size, so I'm going to use this one as my left hand one. I'm going to make my 4 on the left, and then over under, so I can catch that little beady guy there. Yeah, changed my mind. Alright, so I made a choice that was not the right choice. That's okay, easy to fix. Because what that did is it undid my last little spiral. So what actually needs to happen is this one needs to go this way. I think. Yes. There we go. That'll work. Alright, and so then 4 more. So left, right, left. I was not expecting that my phone case was going to be a featured part of this stream. But there it is. Right. Okay, so there we go. That's our second side. So if you are tuning into the tutorial a little bit late and you feel like I rushed the second side, that's because I did, because I'm trying to finish on time. But I promise if you just rewind back in the tutorial and watch me do the first side, there was a much more in-depth explanation on the first side. This is my scrap of cord from the beginning. I don't need that anymore, so that can go away. I'm going to finish off these 2 ends right here. Again, not the parallel ones, you need those. It's these other ones that you can cut off and melt and seal down. And then the last thing we're going to do is our closure. Our closure is just going to be a square knot that goes around all 4 of these cords. So what I just did was I took my bracelet. Ta-da! That I have knotted. I'm just going to take my 4 ends and I'm going to cross them like so, so that my bracelet makes a circle. And what I want to have here is I want to have 4 parallel cords. I'm going to take those cords and I'm going to clip them into the corner of my macrame board like so. So I have my 4 cords that are running basically parallel. If they get a little bunchy like this, that's okay. On the top of my macrame board, and my bracelet is dangling underneath. Now I'm going to find that 1-foot piece of cord, that 12-inch piece of cord that we set aside for our closure, and I'm just going to do about 5 or 6 macrame knots with that around all of these cords. That means I start underneath all 4, center it up. This is always a little bit hella awkward because it's like on the corner of the board, and then I'm just going to start. It's the same knot. It's a little bit trickier just because you don't have as much space to work, so it usually takes a little bit longer. If you have handy tweezers of some sort, that can be really helpful in this situation. You would think I would with all the, oh, there's one right there. You think I would with all the tools that I have. Oh dear. So you can use your tweezers to reach under, grab and pull through. And for any of you who are like, well, ding dong, why don't you just use a longer piece of cord? It's not necessarily about the length of the piece of cord, it's just about the size of this and the fact that you're trying to go under 4. So tweezers are helpful. Wow, I love it when people try and argue with you about the time. That's like, really? Your argument is that my Sprint satellite time is wrong? I don't think that's a valid argument. That's 3. Well, I'm sure 5, I'm gonna go for 8. So that's 6. Yes, but some people have miraculous powers of only believing what they want to believe. Alright, there's 7. One more is 8. So again, tweezers can help if your little fingies can't get in there, like mine are having trouble with today. And then I can take that off of my macrame board. Once again, all these cords that are parallel, you need those still. Do not cut them off and burn them. Okay, don't do it. Trim. Melt. Trim. Melt. Okay, so now you're going to find the 2 loose cords on each side and you're going to yank on them until your bracelet completely closes. Now you just need to make sure that you leave enough dangle in these cords that you can get this open far enough to get it on your wrist. So judging by the size of this, it's going to be about 1.5 inches or so. So I'm just going to take about 1.5 inches of cord and I'm going to tie a knot in the end of it. And the reason for that knot is because the last thing that we want to happen, it is actually legitimately 1 o'clock now though.
Yes.
The last thing that we want to happen is we do not want this to pull back through this closure. So that's what the knot is for. And then after I've made the knot, I can pull that off, or cut that off. And then same with this one, we want them to be about the same size, like so. So did we open?
I don't know.
Okay.
Should I go open?
Yes, please, since it is time to open. Sorry, I would, but I have to say bye to the people. Okay, that's it. That is our double zigzag bracelet project with our double-ended component on today's lunchtime Beading Dreams stream. So thanks everyone for tuning in and hanging out with us for a little bit on your lunch hour or your mid-morning, your mid-afternoon, whatever time it is, wherever you are. We cannot tell you how much we appreciate you. We appreciate you supporting small businesses in general, and of course we appreciate you supporting our small business in particular. So everyone have a wonderful Thursday, and don't forget you can find us back on this channel, twitch.tv/beadingdream this evening at 6 p.m. Central Time with this, our Torch Thursday project, which is our pattern wire hoops. So everyone have a wonderful Thursday afternoon, and we will see you then.